Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's episode of What the Health Just Happened, where we talk about all things healthcare, community, business, and life. The goods, the bads, the ups, the downs, the lefts, the rights, and everything in between. We are so fortunate, Trey, to have on a variety of guests, way smarter than we are, including today. Two representatives for A Night for Heroes, tied to UF Health. We're going to talk a lot about what A Night for Heroes is, the gala coming up on February 7th. Let's see if I can get these names right. Jessica Schacht.
That's right.
Last name correct. Currently Vice President of Community Engagement with Brooks and President of Brooks Foundation.
That's it.
As far as A Night for Heroes, you said you're past chair and just a committee member.
That's it. Just a committee member.
I think a lot falls under just a committee member we'll get to. We also have Amy Meyer of Counsel with Saalfield Shad.
Saalfield Shad.
Golly, I almost made it through the whole thing without butchering it. Again, what does she do with A Night for Heroes? All the things. That's what you told me. Mm-hmm. All the things.
I have done all the things because I've been involved with it for a very long time.
Well, let's start there. Welcome to What the Health Just Happened.
Thank you.
We've got some time to chat. Who wants to explain what A Night for Heroes is?
Amy, you've been around longer. Go for it.
So I've been involved with A Night for Heroes for 16 of the 19 years. And A Night for Heroes is now a gala to raise funds for UF Health and the hospital in general, but it started out 19 years ago as a fundraiser for the trauma program, which is the region's only level 1 pediatric and adult trauma center. And it was started by a group of women who, one of them, her child was a victim of a traumatic accident. And so she wanted to bring together a group of people and have them all really start to raise funds for the program. And it was an amazing endeavor that's now gone on for 19 years.
Is this year 20 or this is year 19?
So it's technically started in 2006, but the first gala wasn't until 2008. So if you think about the planning and everything that was involved with it, it would be 20 years that we've been planning and enacting the gala, but it's only the 19th gala that's actually occurred.
The gala itself, which is February 7th at Marriott Sawgrass,
right.
starts at 6 p.m.
Sounds right.
That sounds right.
Roll with me. Earlier, so it's hard for us.
You'll be there at noon. That's right.
I'll be there at 9 a.m. getting everything ready. But yeah, it sounds like the rest of the guests will be there about 6.
We can put backlinks in there if there's still time to register. But this is the third time we've had A Night for Heroes in some capacity on. This is also it's obviously fundraising, but it's celebrating how involved the community is, right? First responders, police. Last year was a school physical therapist. You've been on the committee and board past chair for years, right?
That's right.
What are some stories or something that the community was involved in where you're like, wow, that's mind-blowing that we have this capacity in Northeast Florida?
Oh, I think every story of the 19 have been impactful and traumatic and emotional. You think about there was an individual whose arm was taken off by the propeller of his airplane, that he lost his life and probably shouldn't be around and is here and was at the gala and was welcoming. The young man that you spoke of last year who had a traumatic incident on the soccer field and whose athletic trainer saved his life. But this year is about honoring 3 past honorees, really understanding where their story came from, who they were, and where they are now so many years later. Brett Parks was just a layperson who really was just trying to do the best that he could and wound up in the line of fire and ended up saving some individuals' lives, but lost a limb in the middle of it all. And so just a superhuman who decided that day that he was going to be Superman and really has changed the community. You think of so many others that come to mind. Amy, are there any other stories that you think of?
Interesting note. I was actually working at UF when Brett came through the trauma center.
Was it Shands at the time or was it UF Health at the time?
At that point in time, I believe it was Shands.
Okay. I still call it that. I wish I didn't. But
And so I was meeting with one of the trauma physicians and he said, well, I might have to go leave our meeting and go operate on somebody who intervened to save a woman, because what happened is she was yelling for help, and he came and actually helped her. I mean, so he is a real life hero. And I looked at the trauma surgeon and I was like, yeah, right, likely story. And come to find out later on that day, it was a true story. He really did run to stop a robbery in progress. And as a result, ends up being shot. So, and it's interesting, in volunteering with this committee, I actually have become friends with his wife and gotten to know him personally. And he is as truly as kind of a human as...
Can you say his name? Is this one of the...
Oh, yeah, no, his name is Brett Parks.
So Brett Parks is one of the three. I have Don Hodges Jr., Brett Parks, and Jordan McClinton that are being recognized and celebrated. But
correct.
Brett, again, sounds like a real-life hero that saved someone else's life and obviously got hurt in the process.
Correct. And so Don was one of the first patients, or was the first patient, who was honored. And like so many other people in this community, came to the trauma center because he was in a car accident. And one of the reasons I actually got involved with the trauma program is when I was working at UF, what I realized is that any of us at any point in time can become a victim of trauma and end up at the trauma center. You can be driving along and doing everything right and just be hit by a car, or be walking down the sidewalk and somebody, accidentally careens into you because they've turned around,
looked at their cell phone,
and then just veered off the road as you're walking down or driving. There was another one. I can't remember the young man's name, but I remember the story. His parents owned a barbecue restaurant, and yes. And so a child and was hit on his bike as he was crossing the street. And as a parent, one of the things that always strikes you are these stories of children who either are driving and get into car accidents, or are on their bikes and are hit or crossing the road. And it's gut-wrenching to think, oh my God, this could be my child. But for these people who work at the hospital and do these amazing things every day. And it's not just one person, and that's part of what A Night for Heroes is about. It's recognizing the team of people it takes to make any one patient. It's not just the physicians, but it's the nurses, it's the physical therapists, it's the occupational therapists. So if you're loved one is in the hospital for a long period of time, they may have to learn to eat again. They may have to learn to speak again. And it's a team of people who come together to rebuild this patient from the bottom up after they have a traumatic injury. And it's just amazing for any one of these patients, part of what A Night for Hero does is it recognizes all of these people, from the first responders to the rehab personnel, from the beginning to the end, and you see them all stand up and you realize what it takes to save one life.
There's so much to unpack there. I think the first thing is acknowledging UF Health here in Northeast Florida. It is the only TraumaOne adult and pediatric TraumaOne center in Northeast Florida. That's a big deal, right? This is in our backyard, whether it's via helicopter or ambulance. The other thing you mentioned, my first adult job was as a firefighter medic. Loved the job, had some flaws in again, I'm not doing it anymore. But if you look at 3 stages for these instances, you have pre-hospital, right? What happens? How do you get that person patched up and to that hospital facility as quickly as possible? And then what happens in those rooms in that trauma center? Again, you can watch TV all you want, but if you watch a trauma center when they work, it's unbelievable. Then you have the recovery process after the traumatic injury, which, like you said, has so many people involved in taking care of that person. And then when they get discharged, it's a whole other process. And that's, correct me if I'm wrong, what A Night for Heroes is celebrating all those people involved.
And trying to limit it down, too. So if you look at, we are only able to celebrate 50 of those people to celebrate one patient. but there's countless others who've touched them along the way. But we would be there all night long, merely reading out the names over and over and over. And the guests would be so bored that they were just going, I want to get on to dancing the night away. But 50 of those people, and how do you narrow it down to only 50 people that touch this one patient? And I think that's what's so impactful about that night.
It's very powerful. Let's talk about the night. You said something I was going to ask. What's the event like? So you're acknowledging, obviously in this case, 3 past nominees. I don't know what the right term is, right? 50 representatives, but the event as a whole, it's a big fundraiser. Where do the funds go from this fundraiser? I know the answer to that, but how much dancing's involved? Like, is it a fun event, or it's black tie, so everyone's real serious looking?
It is black tie. I would say if you're my date, Mark, shoes are optional.
Mark, shout out.
He does not like to wear shoes. He likes to wear flip-flops. So if you saw him any of the past years, he at some point takes off his shoes, puts the flip-flops back on, because now we're very comfy. So wear what you want. But yes, it is a black tie event. Starts with a lovely cocktail hour. There's a silent auction with some amazing auction items on there. There's a lovely surf and turf dinner that's always served. There is the patient story. So there's the educational aspect and celebrating the patients that are there, celebrating the healthcare heroes that are there who've taken care of this patient. And then there's the conclusion, which would be dancing the night away, followed by, the accoutrements that come along with that. If one likes an open bar.
You know what open bars do? They loosen wallets for those fundraisers,
Absolutely,
which is good.
They do.
That's a good thing.
And there have been so many life-saving pieces of equipment that have been purchased with the dollars that have been raised there. And so it's not insurmountable that $3.5 million have been raised by this event. One of the pieces that I'll tout is the ECMO system, which is a little bit like bypass for the lungs, which doesn't seem like it's a whole lot. But when we had that little thing called COVID that came around in 2020,
never heard of it.
I know, it was such a weird time. But when we had this ECMO system, UF Health was one of the only healthcare systems in Northeast Florida that could take a patient and put them on ECMO, which was purchased by the funds from this event, truly to save lives, not only in the trauma center, but also through COVID as well. Had we not had a Night for Heroes, likely that piece of equipment wouldn't have been in our area. So
the funds from this event go directly to buying equipment for UF Health.
So one of the ideas with the funds is it's not to help the hospital operate. The funds are meant to supplement things. So the event is not meant to help the hospital operate on day-to-day stuff. That's
their job.
That's their job.
Yeah.
This is meant to supplement with different things. So one of the things that this event has purchased is the TraumaOne educational vehicle. So there's a Suburban that goes out and helps educate the community. So the funds from this event has helped purchase the TraumaOne education vehicle. It's purchased different education equipment to help educate the community. It's purchased fluid warmers that go on the helicopters. It's purchased different equipment to help the physicians do their job a little bit better, make their life a little bit easier, but it's also purchased things for the family. It has done things like redone the trauma waiting room to make the facilities a little bit more comfortable for the families as they're waiting and they're in such anguish trying to figure out, is everything going to be okay? So there's a lot of different things. It's purchased rehab equipment. It's done things to help the whole spectrum of care in the hospital. And it's been, we're very proud of
as you
contributing to
right?
this.
You've been doing this for
19
involved
years.
in some capacity, both of you, for at least a decade each, right? Tied to Night for Heroes.
That's right.
I love fundraisers like this because you have tangible things that you're acquiring that make people's lives earlier. So like you said, you're not helping with UF Health's operations and rev cycle management. You're getting actual physical things that people can use in the community. That's pretty special. Congratulations, by the way, to everyone involved.
Thank you.
So
thanks so much.
What's the goal this year? Do we have a goal?
Oh, yeah.
The goal is to contribute to the new trauma center that is being built at UF Health. And so the goal is to help with that and with what they're building there.
I meant the actual monetary number. Do you have a goal? Like, what's the number?
You would say that, and Megan just walked out of the room. So
I think the
exit
goal,
stage left.
Yeah,
Perfect.
That's right.
I think the goal is probably about 300,000.
That'd be my guess.
I think the 3 years we've done it is somewhere between $250,000 and $350,000, which is incredible.
correct.
It's wonderful. Where can people donate if they can't make the gala? And Megan knows all these answers. We can put the website on there. I found it, but people can donate to this cause that aren't at the gala. Correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Is it pronounced gala or gala?
Potato.
I say gala. It's the good old Southern.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, well, I guess we might as well acknowledge this too. There are changes coming to the program as a whole, specifically the gala. Again, now I'm going to butcher it every time. This is the last one in this format.
That's right.
Correct.
So is it like, are there fireworks? Are we going to have magicians there? How big is this thing going to be?
Well, one could hope. Good fireworks, not
the kind that
crazy.
that end up in the trauma unit. Yeah.
That's right. But the future is bright, and as we all know, if you look around, UF Health is expanding not only north into that Wildlight area, but also they're heading south with the acquisition of Flagler. Heading south, they're now more of a regional-based healthcare system, and so the gala is going to reflect that. And so I think it's really exciting. What was started by a group of women in order to be impactful for one program can now be impactful for the entire region.
That's pretty awesome. Worth celebrating. Okay, go ahead, Trey.
How many people visit the trauma center yearly, like on average? Is there a rough amount of people
Where's
that come?
Megan? She probably can answer that.
So what I can tell you, I can't tell you the exact number, but I can tell you it is it's third to Grady and Miami.
Okay.
So in the Southeast.
Nice.
So it is a very busy trauma center.
You guys are helping a lot of people.
Yeah, and if you've been in the trauma, hopefully none of us ever have to go in the trauma center, but if you go and visit, right?
That's
you
me
can go
knocking
and
on
visit.
wood, by the way. There's no one at the door. Yeah.
You can go and visit. You can take a tour. And if you go, there is very limited space. And sometimes those trauma specialists are required to work in nooks and crannies down the hallway and with cramming as many specialists as they can into a very small space. So the new trauma center that Amy talked about will be much more expansive, can carry so many more people, can care for so many more people. And I think that's what's going to be truly impactful is if you see the space, you would be shocked with the number of people that we can care for safely in that space.
Is the new trauma center, is that being built close to the current one? Or they're adding on to the current one downtown?
So it's going to be a multi-phase approach. So they're building a freestanding space, which is going to be near the current trauma center off 8th Street. So downtown, on the downtown campus. They're going to build a freestanding space there. Then they will come in and they will renovate the space that currently houses the trauma center and the emergency room in the current building known as UF Health.
Here's some, you asked some numbers, and I don't think this answers your question, but I think people need to understand the gravity and impact that UF Health has, right? So total ER visits, 193,613. That's a lot.
That's like a third of the population.
Right? And that's mixed between UF Health and UF Health Flagler. So 141,000 here. Total employees, 10,542. This is a massive organization doing a ton of stuff for the community.
Correct.
Which is expanding its footprint, which if you ask me, only positively impacts the community. The specific trauma visits, I would be curious to figure that out. Just generally curious. Okay, so next year, are you two going to stay involved, or are you like, I put my time in, I'm out of here?
We haven't been asked yet, hint, Megan.
Well, she'll have to listen. She loves it.
I certainly would be willing to be involved. It's always been said, and Amy and I can chuckle because at one point we were both employees of UF Health. Once you live and breathe the mission of UF Health, it never really leaves you. Yeah. And so I speak for myself, but probably for Amy as well. I think if we're asked, I don't think the answer is going to be no.
It'd be tough to say no. Well, yeah, that's on the air, by the way. That's basically a verbal contract.
Shout out.
We got a couple minutes till the commercial break. So you work for a law firm, right?
I do.
you work for Brooks, but they're still collaborating. This is what I love about Northeast Florida. It's not like us versus them, me versus you. It's like, how do we collaborate and make this community better? Mm-hmm. So how are your organizations, are they involved with this as well, or just you as a representative of your current company?
So I think Brooks is in a really unique position, and the community may not know this, but the CEOs of all of the hospitals get together monthly, which I think is really unique because in some ways we are competitors. And
you could say they're competitors for
they
sure.
Are. Yeah. They are competitors in a lot of ways, but to get together monthly to impact the health of the community is truly mind-blowing. And so with that, Brooks is also involved as a sponsor as well for this event, not only with my time, but also just sponsoring the event as a whole. And so I think you come together to say you are doing something well, and we want to support that because we want to impact your mission, because inevitably your mission impacts our mission. So if Brooks's mission is to empower people to achieve their highest level of recovery and participation in life, certainly UF Health has to keep them alive first, or else they can't get to us. Yep. And so it's wise for us to do that. But it also helps with our CEOs having that combined mission of all of healthcare kind of coming together monthly to make a greater impact. And so I think through that, we all support each other.
I have to ask, how long have they been doing that? Because that is pretty unique.
So they've been doing it for, my guess is the better part of 2 decades. It started,
I know, at least 20 years.
Good for them.
It
Nice.
started with smoking cessation. So what they saw was everybody knew that they needed to stop smoking on hospital campuses. But they knew if they did
Which is crazy. That was only 20 years ago.
Know,
People
right?
were smoking on hospital campuses, right?
But they said, okay, if UF Health did it first, all the nurses are going to leave and go to a different healthcare organization, right? So they all came together and they said, if we all do it on the exact same day, nobody has anywhere to go.
I love that.
I need to, again, put a spotlight on this. If you look at, let's say the big healthcare systems, right? Ascension, HCA, which used to be Memorial Baptist, Mayo, UF Health, and I would say Brooks is up there too, right? That's going to fall in those buckets. Mm-hmm. The fact that these 6 CEOs or executives are meeting consistently, that's a big deal for a community because other communities don't function like that.
And they also meet with NAS. So they bring in the military as well. So with all the military that's in Jacksonville as well, they bring in
shout out to
well.
Jackson.
Yeah, shout out. Yeah, good job, guys.
We got about a minute to a commercial break. Let's do some additional shout outs. These are my favorite.
I think it's really important to shout out to the individuals who started this.
Yes.
So that is Jeannie T. Pass, Patty Freiberg, Jamie Rood, Heather Wood, and Gail Horowitz.
Okay, thank you for starting
thank you,
this.
ladies.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would say committee members. Megan said make sure you acknowledge the committee members. What does the committee look like? Is that 10 of you? Is it 20 of you?
Oh, it changes.
It does.
Oh.
Maybe 15?
I would say probably. How about we figure out who those are and we'll give them out a shout out at
good.
the end.
Here we go.
I love it.
You like
Love that?
Hi, Mom. I love you. You say hi to Mom. Anything else to add before we go to this commercial break?
I'll give a shout out to my little ones.
Yes.
Yes.
So to love of my life, Mark, hi. Thank you for all that you do in supporting me. To my little ones, Lily and Cade, thank you for supporting Mommy.
I love it. And flip-flops. We got to give a shout out to flip-flops.
Yeah, that's
Well,
pretty
and I
solid.
can't be
Rainbows-
outdone.
rainbows specifically.
Savannah and Juliet and David.
Love it.
Shout out.
Outstanding. We're going to probably talk about parenting a little bit in the second half, but that was wonderful. Love it. Second half, we'll dive deeper into A Night for Heroes, which is February 7th at 6 p.m. at Sawgrass Marriott. You can also donate money if you don't go. That's what the hell just happened. Welcome back to the second half of What the Health Just Happened. If you're just now catching us here on the radio, good news is you can catch the full episode on your favorite podcast platform or YouTube under What the Health Just Happened. It was a lot. So A Night for Heroes, we're going to talk about that more. It's a wonderful fundraiser. It's their last gala this year. It's actually themed The Future is Bright, which we'll talk about the future momentarily. 2 wonderful guests, Jessica Schacht.
That's it.
I like pronouncing it that way. And Amy Meyer, both representing A Night for Heroes, but also have pretty sweet gigs outside of the committee. We did miss a couple shout outs, so we're gonna acknowledge them and then do healthy or not healthy. Fire away.
All right. Shout out to the committee led by our current chairs, Laura and Lauren. Also on the committee is Aaron, Dave, Pam, Lisa, Charlene, Olivia, Jamie, Katie, Julia, Angie, Emily, Deanna, Carolyn, Laura, and Judy.
Okay, now flip that over and say those names
Jessica
again.
And Amy.
And Jessica and Amy. Now flip that sheet over and say those names again. I'm kidding.
Led by Laura and Lauren.
There it is. There it is. Ask them. But obviously, huge shout out to the committee that puts this on. This is the last year of this format, right? Which is February 7th, 6 p.m. at Marriott Sawgrass. We'll put some links in there in that. Healthy or not healthy? I love doing this. It makes me laugh. I also love when people randomly text or email healthy or not healthy out of the blue, just from this. So we'll start here. Healthy or not healthy, being the president of a sorority?
Not healthy.
Not healthy.
Not
but
healthy.
I was.
Healthy or not healthy, working for the Florida Department of Health during COVID?
Not healthy.
Definitely not healthy, but you'll learn a lot and make some great friends.
Wonderful experience. Okay. Healthy or not healthy, the future of UF Health in Northeast Florida?
Very healthy.
Agree.
Healthy or not healthy, working in med malpractice?
Ooh.
Certainly interesting.
Definitely interesting. And you meet some great doctors, so it can be healthy.
Yeah. Healthy or not healthy, children sticking yogurt raisins up their nose?
I would say that's not healthy unless you eat the raisin afterwards.
Is that what happened?
No, absolutely not. It's shot across the car.
We talk before, during, and after and have some fun conversations on the side. Okay, healthy or not healthy, the last format of A Night for Heroes coming up February 7th.
Oh, sad but healthy.
Sad but healthy? I think, what do they say? Don't be sad that it's over, be glad that it happened.
I think so.
And it's not that it's, my understanding, it's not going away. It's just changing and evolving.
It's just going to be a little different.
A little bit different.
Mm-hmm. I will tell you one of my favorite things about A Night for Heroes are some of the great friends that I've made on the committee.
Mm-hmm.
You've all gotten, you two are clearly close, based off of our minimal interaction, but you're building genuine friendships doing this.
Absolutely.
100%.
Can you name names of terrible committee members in the past? Just kidding.
No, because I can't remember them, because why waste that brain power?
That's a good transition there. How do you determine who's on the committee, who's involved, and who's doing what roles? Which I think applies to any fundraiser.
I think with anything, as people volunteer, you see who has a passion for things and who's good at things. For instance, our current silent auction chair, Kristen, was one of the silent auction committee members, and she kind of just dug in and went out and started asking members of the community for donations. And as she did that, she was very enthusiastic in doing that. And she just naturally kind of fell into the role. And as a former silent auction chair, I did it by default because nobody else.
You were voluntold.
No, I did it because I didn't mind asking for donations. Once you've done it so much, it's not one of those things that just bothers you anymore. The worst that's going to happen is somebody's going to tell you no, and you're just like, okay, fine, and you move on. But Kristen is great at it, and she just kind of fell into the leadership role. And you can kind of see people who have a passion for certain areas, and when they have that passion, they just kind of rise up to the leadership roles. And so for her, she was brought onto the committee, both through her job and through attending the event. So what happened with her, she attended the event and then reached out and wanted to volunteer for it.
Do you know some items? I think silent auctions are great, right? Mm-hmm. People kind of bid against each other, especially when there's an open bar. Mm-hmm. Do you know some items on it this year? Again, we can put a link in here if people can bid online, but any ideas on what's in the auction this year?
So I do know that there are some great restaurant gift cards that are going to be included in there. So if you like a good deal, that's certainly a great way to get involved. And
Date night.
That's right.
There's artwork. So I know my dad's a photographer, and he donated a cityscape of St. Augustine. And then there's gift certificates to Epping Forest. hairdresser.
Shout out to the Bowl School swim team. So there's a week for swim camp for younger swimmers. So
I know a lot of parents that would sign up for that.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for something for your 9 to 12-year-old, there's a week of swim camp that will be auctioned off there, which is usually a great one.
Is there somebody I know coaching that swim camp?
There may be a really great coach that's in our midst right here.
Are you a swim coach?
Oh, yeah.
In addition to a sorority president. Let me tell you what I love about swim classes and camps is it wears the kids out.
It does. It also wears out the coaches too.
Oh,
but
I can't even. So in addition to all these other roles, you're going to put swim coach on that list?
We are also, yes, swim coach on this list.
What do you do for fun?
Swim.
No, I don't. Actually, that's what everybody asks. They say, well, when do you swim? And I say, I don't swim. And in fact, I actually tell the kids I can't swim, which is really funny.
On the outside of the pool.
I would say, if I'm going to guess, she probably goes to a lot of kids' events.
I do. I go to a lot of kids' events.
Yep.
I hang out with my family. Spend time volunteering on things like A Night for Heroes.
Yes.
All that good stuff.
All the things. Go ahead, Trey.
Random, but what are some of your go-to spots with the kids in town?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Ooh, have you been to the new, I'm going to call it Landing Park, but I know that's not the name of it, but the new park downtown is really cool.
Similar to accidentally calling UF Health Shanstill, I will always call that place the Landing Park.
Yes.
There is, I don't know the word. I have not been there yet, but I heard it's incredible.
It is great, and it's contained, so my kids are little. So mine are 5 and almost 8. Upcoming birthday on February 1st, Lily.
Oh, mine's the 2nd. That's close.
Oh, that was my grandma's birthday.
Okay.
So, but it's self-contained. It's beautiful. It's great. It keeps the kids entertained. I think that's great. We also go to a lot of trampoline parks.
Yes.
So we bounce our way through a lot of
Can't
energy.
imagine the insurance costs on those places.
I have no
Our
idea.
kids love the trampoline ones too. I love talking about parenting. We're just in that stage of life, young kids. What were you going to say? You're giving a shout out.
Oh,
right
well,
now.
I was about to probably give a shout out to your husband. Do your kids walk around barefoot or in sandals all the time?
Oh, my kids are constantly in flip-flops.
Healthy.
Love it. Yeah,
Healthy.
the best.
Very healthy.
There's a new spot that he's close with called The Block opening up.
Ooh.
It's right off Gate Parkway. It looks awesome, right? So restaurants, food trucks rotating in, live music, but wide open, very kid friendly.
So healthy or not healthy, parks under bridges.
I'm going to say all parks are healthy. That's my initial answer. Does that suffice? I don't know.
I think so.
Now, again, at nighttime,
Yeah,
after
I was
hours,
gonna say,
what
at
time's
nighttime
house get on?
weird, yeah.
When the sun goes down, I'm like, right? Let's talk about Jacksonville as a whole. How long have you been in Jacksonville? Your whole
My
life?
whole life.
You've been here.
22 years.
So, moms, spouses, successful professional women in many capacities. What do you love about Northeast Florida? Whether it's healthcare landscape, things to do with your kids. I love this city, right?
Mm-hmm. I love being around the water. So for me, that's my happy place. And there's a lot of water here.
Oh, yeah.
So whether that's being outside near the river, over at the ocean, spending time at the pools, my personal disdain is cold weather, so I'm not real happy right now, but it's fine for a few weeks out of the year, and so I love being outside, playing with the kids outside. We live down in Rivertown, and so we're always at a different park or a different pool within our neighborhood, which is great.
Nonstop.
So I am from Tallahassee, and there is
It's Trey. He's like, why are you whispering?
Same here.
just not a lot to do there. You've got the government, and then other than that, it's like a really small town. So here, there's just a lot more to do. There's the river, there's the ocean, there's a lot more culture. And so while people from here don't necessarily see that there's a lot of culture here, you've got the symphony, you've got the plays, you've just got a lot to...
Florida Theater.
You've got Florida Theater, you've got the Jags, you've got college football nearby. There's just a lot here in comparison to Tallahassee. And so it's really neat to have the ocean and the river so close. So there's just, for me, it's a big city without being like a giant big city.
Small town vibes.
So I really enjoy Jacksonville. I think there's great educational opportunities for my kids. And so I really enjoy.
So you're not moving back to Tallahassee is what I'm hearing.
I am not moving back to Tallahassee, despite my mother's best efforts.
She's trying her best.
She is trying her best. She is looking for jobs for my husband.
Wow.
Even though he works remote.
Oh, my goodness. So my parents actually moved here from South Florida full time to be closer to the grandkids. I'd love to say they moved closer for me, but it's definitely the grandkids. Northeast Florida, again, the healthcare landscape. What's bringing people to Florida? You could make a case for a variety of reasons. If you look at large markets, Southeast Florida, whether it's Miami, Fort Lauderdale, up to Boca Raton, Jupiter, Orlando, Tampa, I love Jacksonville. And part of that is the healthcare landscape. You have these very large healthcare systems that, I mean, this is in our backyard. The access to the things that we have access to, including a TraumaOne center for adults and pediatrics at UF Health.
We have an amazing healthcare landscape. People from Tallahassee come here for healthcare. We've got a Proton Center. We have Brooks. We have Mayo. We have an amazing healthcare landscape. And it's not just the large academic centers. Personally, we have the most amazing pediatrician, Jennifer Savarese.
Shout out.
And
Who's is she independent? I'm like, I need a new pediatrician.
She is with Jacksonville Pediatrics.
Okay.
And so in all of it, there's just amazing healthcare here. And so I think we're very fortunate to have multiple academic medical centers, but not just the academic medical centers. Our local hospital systems are very good. And we have amazing systems in that. We've got MD Anderson. We have Ascension has amazing physicians there as well.
Yeah, again, all of them. Anything you'd like to add to that? We could talk about Brooks the entire rest of the time because you talk about a great story.
We certainly could. And the Brooks story is Dr. Brooks Brown was a cardiothoracic surgeon at Baptist who recognized that there was a need to create another hospital, who created essentially Memorial, which then was purchased by HCA, and then he created Brooks Rehabilitation. So you want to talk about kind of a trifecta. But I think what goes beyond that is what is offered back to the community. So things like adaptive sports, pediatric recreation, all of the encompassing different opportunities that are provided to our residents beyond just what we would call traditional healthcare, beyond what just insurance pays for.
Woof. Insurance. That's what we do.
But I do think that there's different opportunities to allow people to continue to recover beyond what we would consider traditional healthcare within our community.
Go ahead, Trey.
Did you say adaptive sports?
That's a big deal.
What is
adaptive sports?
I have no idea.
So, over at UNF, Swoop, there was the wheelchair basketball tournament that just occurred this weekend. And if you've ever watched the movie Murderball, that is wheelchair rugby. Brooks has an adaptive wheelchair rugby team who plays against other wheelchair rugby teams around the nation and around the United States. And so they literally play the most intense version that you've ever seen, slamming into each other, knocking each other over. I mean, part of the game is to take the ball in any way that you can, which may include taking a person who's a quadriplegic and pushing them over. And therefore,
that's wild.
It is intense and wild. So if you've not seen the movie Murderball, take a look at that. We have our very own Murderball team here, but now they call it wheelchair rugby because Murderball sounded a little too intense.
Shout out though.
That's pretty cool. But again,
shout out to the Brooks Bandits.
If you're looking at all of these healthcare systems, will stick to Brooks, but the amount of lives you're impacting. You talk about traditional healthcare, people think of brick and mortar on site, but now I think the future of healthcare is changing dramatically, and Brooks is at the forefront of that, and including locations now. I think Arizona, Brooks has moved into.
That's right.
But that's how I look at it. Like, how many lives are you impacting? Whether it's not just the patient themselves, but the families attached to that family.
And it's not just post-injury care, but going back to UF, they're doing a lot of pre-injury education, and the pre-injury education is so important. The things like Stop the Bleed program is one of the programs that UF's outreach is doing. And that is, what do you do when somebody is injured? How do you help them pre-hospital? And trauma outreach and teaching people what to do to prevent injuries. UF Health has a whole trauma injury prevention program. What do you do to prevent all of this from happening? What do you do so you don't need the trauma program? What do you do so you don't ever have to hit the hospital? And what do you do before, if you have an accident, what happens? What do you do? CPR and, applying a tourniquet and all of these injury education so we can help you before you ever hit that hospital door.
I was going to say proactive versus reactive. That's another change I think is happening in healthcare, right? Instead of someone gets sick, you treat. How do you try to avoid that however you can? One, how can we share these resources? But like you said, no one thinks about it. No one thinks about CPR and chest compressions until you're standing over someone that needs CPR or chest compressions. Same thing with a traumatic injury. I keep a first aid kit a legitimate first aid kit in my car just in case. I hope I never have to use it, but I think the more of the community that understands this and learns about it, that's a win.
Well, I was running in why am I blanking on it?
River Run?
The River Run.
The big one.
The big one with the big monster.
The gate or the Donna?
And the guy next to me fell out. Completely fell out. He was an elderly man running the River Run. And so one of the runners started doing chest compressions on him, and I had to run back to get EMS. So, they have EMS all along the way, but of course they're not running with every runner. So I had to run back to try and get EMS so they could meet him where he was. But one of the other runners just started doing chest compressions on him. And you just never know when you're going to be in that situation. And it's terrifying because you're like, do I remember what I'm supposed to do? I mean, I'm CPR trained, but I'm just standing there and I'm like, oh gosh, what is it? What's the breath to compression ratio?
None.
Right.
Just
no
compressions.
So you nailed
At
it.
the time, it wasn't, though. At the time, it was, you had to remember breaths.
30 compressions, 2 breaths. 30
exactly.
compressions,
But
2
now
breaths.
it's just compressions. But, but you're standing there and you're like, okay, do I remember? And
two things jump out. One, what do you do if there's a trauma other than run around and scream there's blood? What can you do to help? The same thing we talked about at the American Heart Association. They did the Heart Walk. There's a big push for everyone to learn hands-only CPR.
That's right.
Which is such a low barrier to entry. I'm convinced every human in Northeast Florida should know how to do hands-only CPR so that immediately it's just get on them and do chest compressions.
Well, the other thing that happened to me recently is I was out to dinner and we were at a restaurant and somebody was choking. And the staff at the restaurant was like...
You're like a black cloud of these crazy things.
Don't hang out with me.
I'm like,
Exactly. Well, somebody was choking and all of the staff at the restaurant was freaking out. And I looked at them and I said, well, is somebody doing the Heimlich maneuver? And they said, I don't know. And I was like, what do you mean you don't know if somebody's doing the Heimlich maneuver? And so I said, well, I know the Heimlich maneuver. Do you need somebody to perform it? And I walk over there and... So the person performing the Heimlich maneuver is Dominic Angelillo, who's an amazing cardiologist at UF Health. And so I'm like, okay, we got this under control. But the fact that the staff was like, I don't know what's going on. I was like, maybe we should know what's going on. But one of the things I wanted my kids to know was you need to react in a situation. You don't just sit here and watch it. If you can help, you step in. There may be multiple people offering to help, but you need to at least offer. Yes, there were multiple people offering, but one more person offering is okay.
Yep. Go ahead.
Well, I got to give a shout out to Eric because you saved somebody in a car accident this past year because people were just standing around.
I have a lot of similar stories between work, and I have a rule: if someone's on the side of the road, I'm pulling over saying, "Are you okay? Do you need help?" Most of the time, it's I'm fine. Someone's coming. Or do you need help changing a tire? But I think the world needs more people like that see something going on and go to it. Versus, again, this story he's talking about, pulling out their cell phone and recording what's going on when someone is clearly at risk of who knows what could happen. Man, we went. I love this. That was a little bit off the rails. Yeah, great dialogue.
Love it.
A couple minutes, we'll rein it back in. Night for Heroes.
Yes.
So this is the last year of this format, the gala. What was, how do you say it? The Southern twang to the
Gala.
Gala. There it is. Gala.
It's the Tallahassee.
I love it. February 7th, 6 p.m. at Marriott Sawgrass. I assume there's probably still tickets available. We'll put some backlinks in there, but silent auction, dancing in flip-flops, right?
Dancing in flip-flops.
Open bar, that's always a win.
That's it.
Shout out.
But most importantly is acknowledging 3 past nominees, their stories, which are incredible, and then the people involved in that care, which goes back to the ones who don't sit back and pull their cell phones out, the ones who are running in from the moment that injury happens to when they're discharged and taking care of them.
That's right.
What else? I mean, again, Night for Heroes, Night for Heroes, Night for Heroes.
I think it's also recognizing the committee that's come together and the community that's come together over the last 19 years to truly impact change and support really a beacon of light for this community. We could not have had things like the Super Bowl without having a level 1 pediatric and adult trauma center. We couldn't have major events like we do without these types of care settings that we have. And so recognizing that it takes a village in order to truly impact change, and thanking those that have been involved for the last 19 years, especially that group of women who had the vision, who started it.
Yeah, I mean, again, I sometimes I get chills just thinking about it. You're talking about 20 years of doing this and actual dollars raised that went back to the community and got resources that actually provide value. It's awesome.
And the number of lives that were saved because of those dollars that were contributed.
And even, right, you acknowledge a person every year. That's just who's acknowledged. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of other people that are directly impacted for a Night for Heroes. So thank you. You call it service, you're volunteer. I don't know what the right term is, but we appreciate you doing this.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, that was, we got a little bit off the rails there. That wasn't too bad, was it?
It was good.
That was good stuff. Thank you for joining. A Night for Heroes, February 7th, 6 p.m., Marriott Sawgrass. That's what the hell just happened.